I'm very fortunate that I live very close to a big city, and doing so, and by living close to a big city, that has helped me first of all like find my passion for street photography, and has also helped me kind of develop and advance it. Having like a good kind of big city setting has really helped me progress and find the style of content that I wanted to make. But for a lot of people, and maybe even some of you watching, you may not have this kind of luxury living close to a city. You might live quite far outside in the outskirts of it, or you live within an area where to get to a big city requires an excessive amount of travel, such as like driving or public transport, which obviously adds to the cost of it. And I understand for many photographers, they find that a bit of a limitation, a bit of a frustration for them, that they want to go out there and take great photos and they have an idea of what photos they want to make, but they feel like the opportunity for them to do so is very limited. But I want to try and debug that to the best of my ability. So today I've come to my local area here, and what we're going to do is we're going to go out there and take photos. I'm going to show that you don't have to be within a big city to take great photos. If you have a mindset and if you just keep open mind, you can make good photos anywhere. So let's get started then, shall we? I thought today would be a great chance to dig out the wee X100, give it its chance today, as it's a small little local wee kind of jaunt around my area. So I thought, you know what, this wee and he's deserved his chance. Let's give it a go and see what we can make with this. Obviously I've got various interchangeable lenses like the 28 and the 50mm to go along with the fixed 23mm lens. So where I'm at is in kind of like my local park area. I've come to this pond, and just there on a little, what looks like to be a nest actually, I might need to zoom in, there's actually a heron nesting. Now I was hoping I could get a kind of like, you know, a wee kind of a reflection shot, but I think there's some kind of like algae is kind of like covering the water, so we may not be able to get a full kind of crisp reflection. So I've stuck the 50mm prime onto the X100, so I'll try to see what it is we can get. It might require a bit of cropping. I think this, even at this kind of focal length, isn't really doing it. So this is probably going to take some post-production actually, or well, it will take post-production, but it might take a bit of cropping to get in it, because I don't know if you can see, but the heron's actually standing up right now, so but I'm struggling to really kind of focus in on that, but we'll keep moving. We've got this little wee guy here chilling out, enjoying his morning bathe. This might be a bit difficult because obviously the bird is black going against the black backdrop. It might be a bit difficult to kind of like separate him from the rest of the, or maybe not. Common issue with the X100 is the fact that I don't see how exposed it is until after I take the photo, but it might work out, it might not. So I've come across this another heron here, and he's standing kind of bolt upright. The water is a lot more clear and less kind of cluttered, so hopefully we have a better chance of getting a good reflection shot of him. If he can hopefully stay still, he's getting a good pose on for us actually, it's quite appreciated. Hold still, if he can just hold still, try and show the back of the camera, show you what I'm seeing. Now I've come across these big guys. Now I will need to be very careful because these swans can get quite protective of their young amongst them, so I think I'll try and see if I can take good shots of him from a distance. But see, he's already clocked me, he's already looking, he's got his eye on me, so we need to be careful. I've switched up and gone for the 28mm to try and get a bit more, because we are a little bit more punched in with these guys, but just didn't. Is it working? It's sort of working, sort of not. I'll change the lens back to the 50. I feel this isn't really quite working. Let's see if we can get a bit lower actually. That's a bit bright. Switched up and gone for the 50mm. This guy is still clocking as he's staring right at us, so I'll try not. I don't think I'll get any closer than this. I'll just kind of try to see what I can do with him and his. Not bad actually, I just really don't want to get too close to these guys in case I disturb them. Try and get a shot of these two ducks here. They're dunking their heads into the water, sticking their backsides up at the same time. They're a little bit closer together. I kind of got a shot of them, kind of not, but yeah, made for a kind of interesting photo. Okay, a limitation of the X100 is it's not really fast at focusing, so these guys are moving quite fast. I'm trying to like stay with them. I'll stay with them, kind of keep up with them. Oh, I kind of arched his neck there, that was a good one. Right, hold still. Sort of got it. Got kind of this wee guy here, just kind of like a wee minimalist. It kind of doesn't really give much. If he can just hopefully look at us. Come on, look at me. Come on up here. I've got up here. Oh, sort of missed him. Not too bad. That's all right. So to save this becoming a whole video about just taking pictures of swans and ducks, we'll move on to another location because another wee bits nice wee bits and pieces we can create around here. Actually, do you know what? I've seen one just up in front of me. So I actually quite like the kind of mixture of this kind of like nice kind of green parking area coupled with the big high-rise flats in the background, kind of the contrast between nature and man-made kind of structures in the background. So I've got the 50mm. Let's see what we can see if we can do something with this. I mean, surely we can. Surely we can do something. Oh, that's too blown out. Give me a second. Need to configure my settings. This is frustrating. Might dip the ISO in just a wee second, actually. As you can see through there, there's just a row of ducks. So what I'm going to try and do is shoot through one of these, through the bridge here. I just need to be wary that I'm getting in the way of people. So there's nobody coming. Let's try again. Please excuse the terrible camera handling on my part. I've tried the two things at once is not my strong point. The really nice kind of like old fashioned kind of like clock tower, just focus on my finger there, didn't need that, just over kind of there. And it's kind of been kind of restored. It's nice kind of I was going to say red, but it looks kind of a more burgundy colour, but it's creating a really nice reflection onto the water. So if I can hopefully try and get a bit of that. So I've took a wee trip away from the kind of wee pond just down there and come up to this little wee hill perched up here with this kind of wee bench here beside me, and you got a pretty decent wee photo here. I suppose, you know, nice little kind of grass and the shapes and stuff like that. I suppose, you know, alright, it may not be making a photo with much story to it, but I suppose it is still aesthetically pleasing, so I don't think there's anything necessarily wrong with that. I've actually thought of another idea. If I kind of like take a step back and try and incorporate this bench as the foreground and into the background. See, that's what I'm talking about. If any of you've seen my that video I made about ways to improve your street photography, number one was layers. So here we go. I had to heed my own advice. Practice what I preach, as they say. So if I try and use this, add this into the foreground, have it kind of looking out over onto the kind of grassy area, that could work a lot better for us actually. So again, right, okay, I'll show you what I'm getting right here. So it is not anything like absolutely, you know, revolutionary or world changing, but it's certainly an improvement as to what it was. Kind of, we're just taking a blank photo of that area, which I suppose, like I said, nothing wrong with it inherently, but this kind of just adds a little bit more to the kind of story or context of the photo. Nope, totally out of focus there again. I've come a bit lower down, changed my perspective again. It's the important thing to change, you know, you're taking photos, I believe, is like, don't just take like one photo in one kind of like angle or perspective, like change it up a little bit. Because like if this doesn't work, which alright, it's sort of getting a bit difficult because of the bench is great, but that railing is a bit of a barrier, so I'm trying to work around that. Like in any photo I don't like, I can just delete it, you know, and I'll try again. You can see my hand and my big balding head there. That was kind of unnecessary. Sorry about that. There you can see it. Maybe just about see it actually. The lighting's not great. But the leaves are changing. The leaves are falling. Autumn is definitely starting to settle in. That's something that will make a lot of photographers very happy. But you know what? I just want to take this moment actually to talk about the summer we have had this year in Glasgow. You know, sometimes it's, for those of you who are not from this kind of part of the world, you'd find it amazing when we say it's like, oh, we may or may not get a summer this year. But see, this year, I think when you look back, and even I'm quite glad I documented it in some of my videos, you see it's like the weather is actually, we have had actually our fair share of good days this summer. We've actually had a lot of good kind of weather. Don't get me wrong, we've had the best of both. We've had both very sunny and very hot. We've also had like thundery downpours, and at times when it's like the middle of July, you could be absolutely, it was freezing at times. But you know what? All things considered, I think this summer was actually pretty decent. So yeah, that's my little kind of passionate kind of talk about the summer we've had this year in Glasgow. Here's quite a nice setting. So you have like this kind of clock tower we're taking photos of earlier. The grassy area, the pond is just in the background. You got a wee woman here sitting on our bench, kind of adding to the context and story of the scene, shall we say. So if I can get to use out the 50mm here. Again, I will have to admittedly kind of possibly crop a little bit more in after. Actually, I'll move a bit closer. That's what I'll try and do. Oh, this feels awkward. So I've come across this local tennis court, and I quite like the position I'm in right now. So the tennis court's kind of elevated above the ground level behind me. So we're kind of like, it could create and help, I don't know, something like a distorted, kind of distorted angle. That's me kind of like try to use fancy words there. I don't know. It could look pleasing. I'll just get to the point. That's a bit underexposed actually. Might need to change the aperture. Better. I've actually thought of something better. What I'm going to do is I'm going to shoot through the actual mesh itself, because every time I tried to take a photo, the photo kept focusing on the actual fencing. I couldn't get the actual tennis court in focus. So what I'm going to do is the leaves on the ground actually add a little bit to it as well. Again, sorry, this is an absolutely horrendous camera work here. I do apologise. So I've come to the other end of the tennis court, and just through there, if I can try and get away from the mesh, because the mesh keeps focusing on the fence there. You see there's a basketball hoop. There's a kind of, you might be able to see the reflection of it there in the puddle. I'm trying to get a shot of them together. It's proving to be quite difficult. We're going for a wider lens. I'm going for the 28. I'll try it between the 28 and between the 28 lens and the 23 mount, but this is going to be a bit of a challenge. It might not come out exactly as I hope. I'll just need to try and do the best I can. This shot here is pretty decent. Again, on the right you have this kind of like man-made kind of like fence and tarmac for tennis courts and the basketball court, and on the left you have the kind of nice nature and a perfect dividing line. It could make a good kind of landscape one. Here at the front gate of the park, it's kind of again I can't speak today. Aesthetically pleasing. You have again a kind of like darker red, almost burgundy. They must like burgundy in this park against the backdrop of the green, but they also have this bit of a gold kind of like ornament. I'm sure it's not solid real gold, but see if we can take a photo of that wee light. Wee woman out there just walking her dog, kind of framed nicely by the trees and the branches here. That could work. She's got her two wee dogs. Oh, that's lovely. I don't know if it's such a kind of like Scottish or British thing, but people love it. You know, the idea of retiring and just walking your dog everywhere. So it's people quite romanticise that idea. So I've taken even further step back for this tennis court, because I do like this one. I think we can work a lot with it. So I've dug out the 50mm to try and get as much as the foreground impossible as I can. It's actually coming out alright. Not too bad. I don't have to play around with the exposure, but it's okay. It's decent. It's not anything major. Sorry, God, I'm trying to focus on two things here. So I'll look to wrap it up there. I hope you found that helpful. I mean, look, the point of this video was not for me to kind of showcase of like, look how much great photos that I can make no matter where I go, and it's a wasp. The point of this was not to showcase like what great photos I can make. It's the fact is to kind of hopefully help that for anybody who's watching that feels quite limited to the opportunities they have to go out there and take street photography, it's just for you to know that you don't have to live in a major mega metropolis and be out there every single day. If you just come to your local area, you can find more inspiration than you think. So give it a go. Please let me know if you agree with me below in the comments. Once again, I hope you found the video helpful. Thank you as always for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.